News that Britain's AstraZeneca vaccine for the novel coronavirus has showed an average efficacy of 70% without any serious side effects. But at the same time, they have also expressed concern over when the vaccine would be available in public domain. Here's what they have to say.
I think it's marvellous, that's the thing, but as I said, hopefully it won't take that long before we can actually get it, Because I said, a lot of people are just ignoring this thing. It's not a thing that you can ignore. Look at the lives we've lost. It's terrible for the amount of lives we've lost. So hopefully this will come and we'll be able to get it as soon as we can. Speaking
for myself, if I had to wait a bit longer, just to make sure that it's all very safe, that would be fine. I think everyone's sort of, a lot of people, even though it's tough, have sort of learned how to deal now with these lockdowns, and perhaps extending it a bit longer, making sure everything is safe, and then hopefully we'll be back on track next year at some point.
And so let's quickly get in a sense of perspective and an understanding on the vaccine race and the latest vaccine candidate, of course, that's being the Oxford vaccine. For that, I'm joined in by our guest, virologist Michelle Lineal, who's joining us live from Jerusalem for more details. A very warm welcome to you, Professor. Now, interim data suggests that 70% protection is, of course, possible from this vaccine, but the researchers are saying that the figure may be as high as 90% by tweaking the dose when it comes to the Oxford vaccine. What do you make of the efficacy of this vaccine?
So, first of all, it's really important to say that it's very, very good news. I think 70% on average at that early phase is fantastic, which means, and we already know, and you mentioned it, that by changing somewhat the procedure of vaccination, namely changing the dose of each of the vaccine, will improve probably the response. But I would say that with this very, very important news about having not only good vaccine, but actually cheap vaccine, and also with no really challenges in delivery and relatively cheap, it makes really a game change in the vaccination story.
Right. Professor, many experts are now comparing the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine result of 70% efficacy to that of Moderna and Pfizer, both of which have produced 95% protection from COVID-19. In that sense, where does the Oxford trial stand in comparison to Moderna or Pfizer?
Yeah, so let me just remind everybody that when Pfizer came out, they were only 90%. And then a week later, or 2 weeks later, they came with 95. What does it mean? It means that we are still at the very non-significant amounts, so that numbers can change. So everything that is, good, namely 70%, 80%, is almost statistically identical. Over time, we'll have more and more numbers, and so those percentage of efficacy will be stabilized. But you should also remember that it's very, very much dependent of, for example, the age of the people that were vaccinated. It could be maybe 80% for people at the age of 30, but only 60% at the age of 70.
Right.
So those numbers cannot tell us the whole story.
Fair enough. Professor, traditionally it can take years for a vaccine candidate to undergo testing and to gain official approval for distribution to the public. But scientists have been ramping up their efforts to bring a COVID-19 vaccine to the public in record time. What sort of an impact could rushed trials have on the vaccine trials?
So you are asking about the delivery, about the, I think one, maybe the most important aspect that I can add to this discussion is that I personally do not think that once the development of the vaccine is over, which is about now, there will be an end to the pandemic. We will have probably another 6 months to keep the same, social distances, masks, and so on, so that slowly but slowly and surely the population will be vaccinated. And it's very important, not only specific subgroup in the world will be vaccinated, but it should be spread all over. Otherwise, we did very little to eradicate this pandemic.
All right, Professor, last but not least, the stakes are high for middle and lower income countries. How can wealthy nations ensure that the poorer nations receive adequate supply of the vaccines?
Yeah, so I think the most important, this is why I'm so excited about the today's news. I think there are two phases to the story. First, we cannot allow vaccine that will be so expensive that it will be restricted to very specific subpopulation in the world. That's one. Second, it's very important that we have more than one, not only more than one just by amount, but by types of vaccination. Because some people, for example, you mentioned the vaccine from India. This is a different type of vaccine that is now tested. This is probably will be very good for people that are having some problem with their immune system. So we have to have this as well. So the combination of all those vaccinations will protect the world. Without it, we are not doing much.
Very well said.
Unless understanding science. Yeah.
Right, very well said, Professor. It's not just the amount of the vaccines that's crucial, but also the type that is being produced.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Professor, for joining our broadcast and sharing your inputs.
Yeah.